Okay, so we are speaking tonight about the 6th week of Sfirat HaOmer. We're in the week of Yesod. And this is such a practical Sfira. It's a practical midah to be speaking about, because Yesod is all about connections. And this is something that we're all craving, relationships. We're all craving to feel that we're part of something, and that relationships is one of the most fulfilling things in the human experience. And so Kabbalistically, so the sphere of Yesod is speaking about that we've learned before, that all of the different spherot, so they're connected symbolically with a different part of the human body. Like we said, that Chesed is the right arm, and that Gevurah is the left arm, and then Tiferet is the torso, Netzach and Hod are the two legs, and Yesod is symbolized by the sexual organ, which is all about connecting. So this is like that's where this is all about. And the 6th sphere is connected to the tzaddik. Okay, it says tzaddik Yesod Olam. And so the pasuk in Tehillim connects the tzaddik with Yesod. And that's because the job of a tzaddik is to be a connector. And he needs to be part of the world. If you're not going to be such a tzaddik if you're just going to be in your own room. If you're going to be secluded, that you need to be out there. You need to be a person who's connecting people with each other. You need to be connecting people with Hashem, and that he is that tzaddik. So tonight we are going to be exploring how to have a meaningful relationship, like through the lenses of the sphere of Yesod, and what would be holding a person back from having these meaningful relationships. Okay, so B'ezrat Hashem, the first thing that we know about Yesod is that there's something called Shmirat HaBrit. Okay? There's something about that the Yesod that needs to be closed, and specifically when the Torah speaks about sexuality, so it speaks about Shmirat HaBrit is that to be very careful not to go everywhere. Okay? A person needs to be very close and make sure that he knows how to say no, and not to have this fluidity in their relationships. So this is symbolized. This is in the mitzvah we have on Sukkot by the mitzvah of lulav. That lulav, so it's like it's very long and it's very tall. So it has the graphic design of a vav, which is the vav is the number 6, which is Yesod. And the thing that we're looking for, like if you ever saw, like in the shuk, like what are people when they're checking a lulav? What are they checking for? They're checking that it's completely closed. Okay, because this represents the Shmirat Yesod. So what does this mean? What does this mean for us? So that means that the first problem that a person faces in terms of building a real relationship is that they don't really know what they stand for. Okay, they're just like, I'll just be whatever you want me to be. Okay, in other words, that they don't have an identity. Okay, and this is the first problem that's going to be holding a person back. I read about this person that they went on a date, a first date or something, and they came back, and the shadchan or the friend, whatever, like asked them how to go, and she said, he is amazing, and like tell me about him. So whatever I said is like, so it was just whatever you want. Whatever you want, like where do you want to live? Wherever you want. What do you like? What kind of community do you see yourself? Whatever you want. And what's your favorite baseball team? Whatever you want. And so it was mamish like he'll do anything for me. And so the friend or the shadchan said back like it sounds to me like he's actually a nobody. Like do you really want to marry a nobody? Like it sounds like he doesn't stand for anything, and so this fluidity is really a lack of identity, and this is the first thing. This is the lack of shmiras habris. This is the fact that to show up with borders, with boundaries, is really the first step in having a relationship. Is really developing a clear identity. So how does a person do this? How does a person? I was just sitting with a person just last week that was literally struggling with this, and with him, it could be I mentioned to him in a different class actually, that he showed up with a tremendous anxiety, and it was like he was like he didn't really believe in himself. He didn't know who he was. Everything was just like self-doubt, and I told him there's no doubt that you do have values. There's no doubt that you really know very clearly what you stand for and what you believe in. And you just sit down with yourself and write it down. Sit down with yourself and ask yourself, what are my values? What do I believe in? And I know I did this like later in life. I had this like some kind of crisis that like, what am I? Do I really believe in anything? Do I really stand for anything? And I don't remember exactly what the trigger was, but the context of my writing session was, what are the values I would want to give over to my children? And like I was writing for a couple of hours, and it was so life-changing. Just like to have to write, like, because before I wrote this down, like I really felt like I was nobody. I really felt like I'm just like a generic person giving over generic ideas. And there's like there's a saying that there's two kinds of people. There's people that always say the same thing, and people that don't say anything at all. Like, meaning that like it's easy to be a person that doesn't say anything because you like to just be generic. But if you really stand for something, then like everyone's gonna know. So like I really felt like I was just that generic person that's not really saying anything. Like maybe like I don't know. I'd already been teaching for 5 years. But yeah, I'll teach whatever. And so like to sit down with myself, like what do I actually believe in? So was a game changer for me. Like it gave me a certain confidence that like I stand for something. I am somebody, and so in showing up to relationships, this is a critical thing. Like if the person doesn't really know what they believe in, so then how are they going to connect on anything? This is something that Hannah Levitan speaks about. She has books about dating and marriage, and so like the first thing that her first message that she wants to give over in her books are that when you're getting married, you're building something, and the way that you build something is that by having shared values, by having a shared vision of where you would like to get. So that's exactly how you build something together. So you need to clarify for yourself, like what do I believe in? Like it's not just about like, do I enjoy being in this person's company? Like you can have a person that you love their sense of humor, they're cute, and they're cool, and you love being around them. But the truth is that their values are very opposite of yours. And they really couldn't care less about your values. You couldn't care less about their values, and like you're not going anywhere. Right? That's like you can't build anything without shared values. So just to clarify to yourself, like what do I stand for? So is a very critical introductory thing to building a meaningful relationship. So this is what I think is the first element, the first idea of Yesod. Is the Shmiras Habris, is to know what I don't believe in, like to give myself a form, to give myself an identity. So this is the first step, which really leads into the second step. That once I know who I am, so then the second element of Yesod is really the essence of Yesod, and that is that the act of connecting is an act of flow. Okay, is an act of that I'm not stagnant, I'm not staying to myself, but rather that I need to share. Okay, and this is a very critical thing, and it's a very critical energy in general of being a Jew, of being a tzaddik. That if we want to go back to the metaphor of a tzaddik Yesod Olam, so in Hasidic culture, so in Europe they would call a Rebbe, they would call him Gute Yid. Okay, what's it mean, a Gute Yid? Like the good is meaning like he helps people. Okay, so like I think it's connected to the word tzaddik in general. Like the word tzaddik is connected to the word tzedakah, which is like tzedakah is what is giving people in need, like the person who's constantly helping people. And so like I thought about this once. I saw this documentary. You've heard of this? There's something called Sufism. You've heard of it? Sufism is like. It's a kind of, not a cult, it's a kind of Islam. It's actually a good thing. It's actually a good thing. It's much better than regular Islam. They call it the mystical approach of Islam. For example, the Kabbalah, yeah. So for example, like in regular Islam, so jihad is one of their big mitzvahs, means that you have to kill all the Jews. And so in Sufism, so the jihad, it doesn't mean to kill the Jew, it means to kill the Jew inside of you. It's more of a... So I saw this... I saw this documentary that they have these very fascinating ceremonies where they have high levels of meditation, where I don't know how they got apparently you're not there's very rules of who's allowed to get in, and you're not allowed to video it, but somebody was able to video it, and they're able to reach these trances where they do crazy things. Like I saw a video of a guy that was able to reach this trance, and he was able to put a dagger into his skull and not die, and they're able to swallow poisonous spiders, and they're able to do really weird stuff. And I think that the twirling is part of the meditation process of how they get to this trance but once they're there, then they do these really weird stuff. So I'm not even going to say cool stuff. It's just interesting. So I was thinking of this, and then I was thinking, whoop-de-doo. Wow, good for you. You are so holy that you put a dagger into your skull. You know what our tzaddikim do? Our tzaddikim, you get super, super holy, and then a person comes to you that they haven't had kids in 20 years, and he said, I give you bracha that you have a kid. That's nice. Our tzaddikim, you say, you get really, really holy, and then a person comes to you, and he says, Rebbe, I need parnasa, and then, next thing you know, so he gets a good job. That's a good deed. That's what it means to be a tzaddik. A person that his spirituality is just a freak show. So we could really do without you. So the very basic definition of a tzaddik in Judaism, of the hero, the spiritual hero in Judaism, is the person that through his spirituality is able to help people. And that's precisely what it means to be a tzaddik. That is the flow that we're speaking about. And this is a very beautiful, very, very, very beautiful teaching from the Chatam Sofer, that he's speaking about one of the characters, one of the personalities in the Torah, in Parshas Noach, is a guy named Chanoch. So Chanoch was a very holy man. And the Torah says that ve'inenu ki lakachata Elokim, that at the end of his life, so he was so holy that he didn't die. Death is a result of sin, and so he was so holy that he didn't need to die. So he just went up to heaven alive. He's one of the two people in history that happened to, him and Eliyahu Navi. And so the Chatam Sofer asked a simple question, that he was way before Avraham Avinu. So if he was so holy that he escaped death, which Avraham did not, so then if he was so holy, how come Hashem didn't decide to make the Jewish people from Chanoch? That sounds pretty good. So to which he answers something very profound. That is that it's true that he was very holy, but he kept his holiness to himself. And his holiness was that he was just meditating in a room, and he was just fasting, and he was just asking himself, how can I do even crazier things for Hashem, and how can I negate myself even more? And he wasn't so into the rest of the world. He wasn't into helping others. And so Hashem says, it's very cute that you're so holy, but that's not what it means to be a Jew. To be the father of the Jewish people, you need to be a person that cares about others. And that was Avraham Avinu, that his whole life was talking to people. His whole life was spreading food and spreading emunah and achnasat orchim, and in every sense of chesed. So he was all about being with people. He was he was mamish connected to the entire human race, and so Hashem says, a person that cares about everybody else, that's a tzaddik that I want to build the Jewish people from. And even though it's going to be at the expense of your level of holiness, that it's very possible that it's actually, he's not going to reach the same level of connection, the same level of I don't know, of feeling of this of amazing dveikut that Chanoch experienced, but there's more important things. There's more important things than just dveikut. There's sometimes if a person's drowning in quicksand, so the only way to save him is to jump in and get dirty.
No, you shouldn't jump into quicksand to save someone in quicksand.
So
throw him a branch.
Throw him a branch. Okay, so a different metaphor. So if you're not going to get dirty, no, the real tzaddik, he gets into the quicksand, he still gets out. So then if a person's not willing to get dirty, so then they're not a real tzaddik, and that's really what Avraham Avinu is reminding us. Let's start with the Chavetz Chaim. that the Chafetz Chaim he was once listening to some Rosh Hashiva that he was giving some very amazing pilpul, very very intellectually awesome kind of lecture, and then the Chafetz Chaim said to somebody next to him that, if I would have wanted to, I could have been a person that gives classes like that, but I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy writing books for Klal Yisrael. He always asked himself, what did Klal Yisrael need? He saw that there was a problem with lashon hara, so he wrote Chafetz Chaim, he wrote Shmer Salashon. He saw that there was a problem with following halacha, so he wrote the Mishnah Berurah. And he did what Klal Yisrael needs. He was tuning himself to the needs of the Klal instead of saying I want to shine. It's all about myself. And so that there's actually a price. There's actually something that you're going to lose by caring about everybody else. You're not going to have these levels of devotion that Hanoch had, and ultimately it's okay, because ultimately that's really what Hashem wants from you. Really, that's what you're actually fulfilling your duty in life to a much greater degree by making that sacrifice. So this is the second element of Yesod, is the ability to connect, the ability to share, the ability to spread myself out. And so, circling back to relationships, so that you have a person that they're scared. You have people that are scared to connect. Why are they scared to connect? Usually because they got burned. Usually because when I made myself vulnerable, so it didn't end up well. And so from then on, so my armor is up. I'm scared. I'm scared to have a real connection, because when I put my guard down, so then who knows what's going to happen? And so this is of course, it's a natural response to danger. It's a natural response to being burned. And this is what causes a person to block this channel, to not allow themselves to flow. And so what's the person that fears intimacy, that fears closeness, that fears real friendship? That there's people that actually that the second element connects with the first element. There's people that have told me that if people would know who I really am, they wouldn't want to be my friend. So they feel they feel the need to put on this persona, to put on this display of who they think that people want them to be, and so their fear of real relationships really connects with their lack of identity. And so what should a person tell himself in this situation? That they have this fear, this real fear of connection, this fear, this resentment, this trauma from being burned. So what they really need to understand is, what they need to tell themselves is, that to realize what's at stake. To realize that I appreciate that you're protecting something, but are you really ready for this heavy price tag? Okay? That there's I once said that there's an interesting thing. Why do we have in Judaism? Why do we have marriage? Why do we need to get married? Why can't you just be boyfriend girlfriend forever? Right? What's the big deal? So what's the concept? What's the concept of getting married? Okay, it's nice. It's nice to have a party, but what's the why do we need this? Why do we need this concept? This reality called marriage? So I think I heard it somewhere that what's the greatest difference between boyfriend girlfriend versus marriage? The greatest difference is commitment. Okay, so why is commitment so important? So the reason why commitment is so important is because without commitment, you can't have vulnerability. Okay, or in other words, that if I'm scared that you're going to run away, so I can never really be myself. That's why, inevitably, that there are going to be surprises after you get married, because there's always going to be sides of yourself that you were never ready to share until there's that commitment, that I know that you're not going to run away, and so there's always, life, it's built in that there's going to be surprises, and it's only through that vulnerability that you can have emotional intimacy. That if I'm not going to really be vulnerable, if I'm not really going to be willing to to be my raw self, so then you can never have that true connection. And so the only way that you can reach the true connection is only through the commitment. So it's really, it's fascinating that like it's only through the commitment that you have the vulnerability, and which brings the real connection. So if a person understands that the only way that I'm going to reach this amazing part of the human experience called real connection, so it's one of like I started the class with this, that it's really one of the most amazing parts of life, is like the ability to really connect, really to have a real good friend that you feel one with. So there's nothing like it. There's almost nothing like it. So the only way that you can do that is if you're going to be vulnerable. Like, so it's some people have the opposite problem. Some people have it's similar to the first issue of Shmir Sabris. That people are like too open, like too what do you guys call it? TMI. Right? Oversharing, and like whoa, I did not ask for this. I did not like. I was talking about the other day about how like it's so special, how like the concept of having like a safe space in like the public arena is such a beautiful thing. You know, like the fact that you can just say, "How you doing?" and the person says "BH," that's so great. That's so beautiful. That imagine if like every time they ask somebody how they're doing, they tell me I'm doing horrible, and like I just like my mother just got diagnosed with whatever, and like my boyfriend just whatever, and just like whoa, I'm late for work. Okay, I just meant good morning. Okay, and like so it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that we have this thing that we put on masks and we walk outside with this safe space that I'll save that for the therapy room, and it's actually important to have this shmir sabris, to have that we're not oversharing, but on the other hand, like people that program themselves that I cannot share, I refuse to share because who knows what's going to be if I share. So then that is really they're holding themselves back from one of the most important parts of human experience. Okay, so this is the second element of Yesod, and this is the element of being a tzaddik. This is the element of sharing. This is, I think I don't remember if I mentioned that this is why the sphera of Yesod is connected to 6, and the 6th letter is the letter Vav, and because Vav, the word in Hebrew, the letter Vav is a connector. That we say A, V, B, so the Vav it's and. Right? So it's something which is connecting. And also fascinating is that literally, that in the Hebrew language, something fascinating, that the letters are actually words. The Aleph means to teach, Bayit is a house, Gimel is to give, Dalet is pour. So Vav is a hook. Because the hook is like it's a pasuk in Parshas Truma, like the Vavei Hamudim. The hook is the thing that connects two things. Okay, so the Vav is all about connecting, and so connecting is that I'm not in this for myself. That I want to be connected. I want to be a person in the cloud. I want to be with everybody else. Okay, so now we come to the third, the third element, the third element of Yesod. And the third element of Yesod is that Kabbalistically. So Yesod is connected to the Malchut. Okay, the Malchut is the feminine sphera, which is the thing to which the we are trying to connect, and so so the third element of Yesod is that to respect the other, to respect the identity of the person that I am connecting with. Okay, and this is a critical thing. Or in other words, that after the first two, so I developed a sense of identity. I know exactly what I stand for. I know what I believe in, and not only that, but I want to connect. I want to have friends. I want to be in relationships, and I realize that it's important to be vulnerable. It's important to be with other people, and I'm not living for myself. So what's the problem? The problem is that sometimes a person can have a relationship, but it's actually all about me. Okay? Meaning that like I have a need. I have a need to share with somebody. You know, there's a joke about a guy. There was a student that was late for school, And so he was like 3 hours late for school, and the teacher asked him, why are you late for school? So he says, because I'm so sorry, I was helping an old lady cross the street. So the teacher said, like, that's a good excuse, but 3 hours? So he said, yeah, she didn't want to cross the street. So sometimes you can have a person that they love helping, but it's all about me. It's like I want to help people on my terms, and I don't really my concept of relationships is because it makes me feel good to have relationships. Okay, that it makes me feel like I'm popular, makes me feel like I'm needed, makes me feel like, and so this is the third element, and this we can call this that in psychology. So there's a term that was developed by a guy named Bowen. There's something called family systems therapy. So he developed this term called entanglement. Okay? That there's a difference between a relationship versus an entanglement. Okay? So what is this? What is the key difference between a relationship and entanglement? So entanglement basically is that we have people that they are brought together by a certain trauma, by a certain issue, by a certain need, and so this drama brings them together, and so what's fascinating about this is that because it's so dramatic, so the relationship actually feels even greater than a regular relationship. Because it's like they feel like it's their fate to be together. They feel like they're mamish meant to be together because they feel like we mamish complete each other. We're built for each other, and so because of this drama that brings them together, so then they feel like it's meant to be. But the truth is that there's nothing real. The truth is that if you take away the drama, that there's nothing connecting them. Okay, and this can exist on many levels. Like I'm describing something very extreme, but it can exist on a micro level. Like I've had this in my life, that like people that like friends by circumstance, that like somebody that like we thought we were best friends because we thought that there like superficial things about us were very similar, and we happened to be roommates, and so we're sure that we're best friends, and but then when we started to really dig deeper, we realized that I don't like anything about this person. And so that it's a crazy thing. I was wondering like we used to be like really besties, and like the moment that I switched to Shiva, so like I realized like I have no desire to even reach out to him. I have no desire to ever see him again in my life. And like it was so fascinating to me that like I was sure that this is my best friend, and it's like truth is that we were just stuck together, and like it was mamish just entangled together. So the thing about entanglement is that I'm not really having a relationship with the person himself or herself, but rather I'm having a relationship with the image that I create that serves me. Okay? This is really the definition of the difference of what an entanglement is, as opposed to a relationship. A relationship is that I see the person for who they are, okay, and I give there's space. There's no need. Like it's less about codependency. Like that, I'm talking about. There is the element of need in entanglement, but it's not really the point. My point is that in entanglement, so the reason why I need this is because it serves me. So because it serves me, so I need it to be a certain way. Okay? In other words, that you need to show up as this person that fills this need that I have, that has this scar that we share, and at the moment that you're going to change, so then like that I can't deal with that because you needed to fill that role of the person that I'm connecting with in this narrative that I'm creating for myself. So this is obviously the issue of lack of respect for who a person is, and so when I'm in entanglement, so I'm not actually connecting to the person themselves. I'm really just connecting to what I need, and so how do you tell a person that's in this relationship that's like that he's really he's really like, I need to be in the relationship, but it's really not about them, it's really about me. So what are they actually missing? What are they actually missing? So what they're missing is simply the humility. Humility to take a step back and say, hey, like what do you need? And this is where there's space in the relationship, and this is where there's room for change. I say it when I teach girls about dating. So there's a paradox that the rule number one is that he will not change. Okay? Never marry somebody because like he says that he's gonna start davening with the minyan. Like he will not change if it's not the way he is right now. Just it's gonna like assume that this is what it is. But rule number two, beware. He's going to change. like life is dynamic, and you never know. Like this is like people evolve, and that's beautiful. And love is about change. Love is about accepting a person that we're all on journeys, and like making a decision that I'm going to be with a person through their journey, and despite all their different evolutions. And so giving that space, giving that respect, that like I don't need you to be this certain persona. I don't need you to be the certain picture that I depicted for myself because that works for me, and because it's not just about me. It's like I'm making a decision that I want to live a life with somebody else, and let them live their own life, and I'm going to be there for them. Okay, so this is the third element of Yesod, of having a deep respect for the other person. So I want to close with two points. That first of all that this element of relationships, the energy of being able to connect with people in a real way, meaning, like, to summarize, that a real relationship requires that I have a clear identity to myself. Number two, that I want to expand, I want to connect to the people around me. And number three, that I give space and respect for the identity of the other. So this is something that we've been saying the whole time, that's just an amazing experience. It's not just amazing, really, that this experience of connection is something that is transformative. Okay, and I want to share with you a story. I shared this a couple of weeks ago. I'll share this. That there was a Rav in Migdal Emek named Rav Grossman. He was Rav Grossman, and he's an amazing tzaddik. He was going to be chief rabbi of Israel, and then he decided he doesn't want to be. But like he's done amazing things in life. When he was younger, they called him the disco rabbi. That he would literally go into these bars, and he would like go over to the guys and say, "Hey, want to go to yeshiva?" I don't know exactly how he did it, but he was successful. And like he would come in with a strimal, and he had some charm that it worked, and he was able to, and he put together yeshiva. Eventually, he's been there's thousands and thousands of people that owe their lives to him, and he's able to connect these people in a very deep way, and so there's a story that once a person came to Rav Grossman, and he said, Rabbi, I need your help. My son, so he just told me last night that he wants to marry a non-Jew. I don't know what to do. Could you talk to him? Maybe you can talk some sense into him. That I'm trying my best, and it's just not going. And so he says, sure, okay, I'll try. And so they make an appointment, and he's talking to him, and the Rav Grossman is a very nice guy, and he's a very wise man, and he's trying to tell him, trying to talk him out of it. And he says, he realizes that it's not getting anywhere. He realizes that it's not, that he's already set on his path. And with all due respect, I hear everything you're saying, but I think I'll be able to overcome it. I think I'll be able to have a good life despite everything you're saying. So he realizes it's not going anywhere, and he says, Thomas, just could you do me a favor? Before you marry this girl, would you mind just speaking to my rabbi? And so my rabbi is a very holy man. Maybe he could say something that I didn't know what to say. And so he says, sure, I don't mind. I'll talk to whoever you want. I like talking to rabbis. So he makes an appointment. His rabbi was the Lalav Rebbe, and so he makes an appointment to come to Yerushalayim. And he calls up the gabbai, and he makes at the right time, the appointed time, so they drive up. And he knocks on the door, and the Rebbe ushers him in, and he takes him into the porch, into the merpeset in the back of his apartment, and he says the Rebbe will be here shortly. So he sees on the merpeset. So there's 2 chairs. Okay, so after 5 minutes of waiting, so the Rebbe comes in, and the Rebbe sits down. The Rebbe sits down on one chair, and he puts his legs up on the other chair, takes out a cigarette, leans back, he lights the cigarette, and then he notices the guy. They say on the merpeset there's a little ledge. So he says, "Bakasha, here, take a seat." And so the guy's sitting down on the ledge, and he's smoking, laying back, and they're talking. And they're talking and talking and talking. And 2.5 hours goes by. And Rav Grossman is waiting outside. And finally the meeting ends. And so the boy walks out. And Grossman is waiting there. And of course he's saying to him the whole time. And he says, "How'd it go?" And the boy says, "You know, Rabbi, I've never met such an interesting human being in my entire life." And so Rav Grossman's "I know he's interesting, but no, what do you say about your girlfriend?" He says, "My girlfriend? He didn't say a word about my girlfriend." And so Rav Grossman is going crazy. He's like, "Oh my gosh, how could it be? I was so clear to the Gabbai, he didn't understand. He forgot. He thought this was just a regular meeting, and he was embarrassed to say anything. He didn't know. So he was just he felt this guy is this. I lost. I failed. This is just eating. I wasted my entire day, and so fine. Meanwhile, so 2 days later, so Grossman gets a phone call from this guy's father, from the boy's father, and he says, "Rav Grossman, your rabbi, is he a witch doctor?" So Rav Grossman is confused. He said, what are you talking about?" He says, "My son called me last night. He tells me that he decided that he's breaking up with his girlfriend." What did he do? So he says, "I don't know what he did. I have to find out." So he calls up the Rebbe, and he says, "Rebbe, I want to tell you something. When the boy told me that you didn't say a word about his girlfriend, I was so angry. I was sure that there was a misunderstanding, but Rebbe, I just found out that he broke up with his girlfriend. What did you do? Did you hypnotize him? So he says to him, he says, "Yisrael David, listen up. It's very simple. I knew that I needed to connect to this boy in the deepest way. And so for 2.5 hours, I was just talking to him, and I needed our souls to connect. And then after 2.5 hours, I had him wrapped around my finger. He was mine. And Yitzchak David, none of my chassidim, none of my guys are ever going to marry sheiks. It's not going to happen." And that's all that he needed. This deep connection to the soul of the tzaddik. That's all he needed. That healed him in the deepest way, and everything just became clear. Everything just became clear that was really all that was necessary. And that's on a certain level, when we say tzaddik yesod olam, when we say that the tzaddik is about connections. So what it really means is that the greatest thing that the tzaddik can do for the person, and we all have this tzaddik inside of us. We have this part of us that is dying to connect to everyone around us. And the truth is that the greatest thing that we can do for the people around us is just that very existence, that very connection, that very sharing our souls and connecting with the souls around us. And that can transform people in ways much, much greater than anything that we could possibly say. So this is really the element of healing and sharing of Kedusha in the world through the sphere of Yesod is unimaginable. And the last thing that I want to conclude with is that this flow of the tzaddik, this flow of the tzaddik, that he's able to connect to cause the channel to be able that there's something going, there's something moving, and people are not staying stagnant, people are not staying to themselves. The ability of having this energy go from me to the people around me, and it should constantly be flowing. So the reason why we have this sphere, the reason why we have this midah, this energy inside of us, is because the midot of the soul are corresponding to the midot of Hashem. And really, when we're talking about the sfirot, so it really all begins really all begins, Labiut. It begins with the fact that Hashem has this element, Hashem has this sphere of Yesod through which He connects with the world. And the crazy thing is that when we say that B'Tselem Elokim Barat Ha'adam, that Hashem created man in His own image, so it means that there's a connection between the spirit of our own soul and the spirit through which Hashem relates to the world. And so through our cultivating this tzaddik inside of us, through our cultivating this connection, through this the energy of Yesod, of being able to connect in a healthy way, in a real way. So it's not just that, but it's actually bringing about, it's actually causing Hashem to open up His Yesod, and it's bringing down all of the brachas, it's bringing down all of the shefa, and Hashem is no longer going to be this distant being, that the more that we are able to connect around us, so we are opening this channel of Hashem coming down to the world and sharing and connecting with us. So I bless us all that we should be able to connect to this inner tzaddik inside of us, to know that we have this ability to connect in the deepest way. We have this desire, and we were built for it. We were built to be able to connect, and we have what to share, and we have an identity, and to clarify to ourselves how that we are actually so worthy and that we have so much to share. We have so much that the world needs from us, and to know that we have the ability and to overcome our fears and to be able to get our light to shine to the people around us, and through this, so we'll be able to heal ourselves and to heal the people around us, and to ultimately to bring Hashem's light and blessings to everyone who needs B'ezrat Hashem. L'chaim.